Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for your favorite Sunday night show, the Bama Standard post game, or should I say post season show. Go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button, get in the live chat, show us some love, get things stirred up. If you're watching the replay, jump in the comment section, let us know what you think. As always, we are brought to you by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Partners. With me tonight, I got two living legends. First of all, my co-host is always the man who carries this show and gives us credibility, the Honorable Coach Smook.
What's going on, brother?
And the living legend, the other living legend who is avoiding falling prices right now in Walmart, but is dedicated to the game, the senior analyst from Touchdown Alabama Magazine, Stephen M. Smith. What's going on, man?
I'm good, man. I'm on husband and dad duty, but I'm trying to pull a trifecta over here.
Hey, man, we appreciate that effort, man. Ain't nobody can do what you do.
Yeah, man, trying to pull this trifecta, but man, I mean, guys, it's crazy when you look at the coaching thing here with Coach Saban. We thought it was going to be Austin Armstrong. He says out to take the Florida job, which we kind of figured that was going to happen. It was a DC spot, but the new hire, Robert Bala from Liberty, I just don't know about this one, guys. I mean, you got half the folks that say trust Coach Saban, trust him, he know what he's doing. But at the same time, this just kind of feels like Pete Golding 2.0 to me.
Yep.
Yeah, the new edition.
And that's exactly what I was saying, Steven. I don't like it because of you go out and you get a strong Kevin Steele, right? And you get a strong hire in Kevin Steele, then you go and you get optimistic but a lot of upside hire in Tommy Reese. You address those issues, and you know those are the main positions where the main positions as far as staff that we were concerned about, the coordinator positions. I expected Alabama to follow it up. I believe we were all optimistic about Austin Armstrong also. But just knowing that he was coming in as an inside linebacker coach. Same with Bala or Bala, however you say his name. I feel like it's the same type of feel around it. And at the same time, it also gives us a fresh look at what we're going to have in that group. You know, we get a fresh set of eyes on that. Like you said, Stephen, though, like we don't really know what this guy has produced. Do we look at it optimistically and say, hey, this is just a security blanket hire to, you know, continue to further along with, you know, clearing NCAA allegations against Jeremy Pruitt and keeping him from having an on-field position? Is this just a security blanket type move for that? But like I'm with you, Stephen. Like I don't like it, but at the same time, I honestly don't know how to feel about it either. So
I mean, Smoke, I'll put it like this. I mean, I can see the whole security blanket ordeal. I mean, everybody in the Bama Nation wanted Jeremy Pruitt. Let's not kid ourselves. We all wanted Pruitt. Saban and his agent, Jimmy Sexton, they knew from the jump it was going to be hard to get through all of this ticker tape from the NCAA. So Saban knew, okay, I got to make an alteration. The alterational chess piece became Kevin Steele. Now, Jeremy Pruitt is still expected to come as an analyst. This could be either early summer or at the worst August 1. He steps foot on campus just ready to work and there'll be no announcement. But I mean, we all knew it was going to be difficult trying to get the ticker tape. My question becomes, was there not any other big name that Saban could bring? Like, was there any other attractive name that could look at Alabama and say, I want that? It doesn't even have to be a home run name. Just major college football experience. I mean, if you're gonna go this route with Bala,
you might as well buy alumni.
Right.
Just make Kevin Steele the linebacker coach too.
Right.
I mean, just or at the least, I mean, call Sean Dion Hamilton, call Nico Johnson,
Right.
All guys that have been in your program instead of just getting somebody that has little to no experience at all.
Right.
I'm right there with you, and Stephen. You know, we've talked about it, Coach. We've talked about it. The first name off my list, as soon as Austin Armstrong is out the door, ink barely wet. I mean, barely dry. Nico Johnson or Sean Dion, like you said, experience. They've won national titles. They understand the culture. They understand the culture of playing that position. They are so recent that they can identify with these young guys. And yeah, I know people, the first thing they say about Robert Bala is that he's a young guy who can identify and connect with recruits. But sometimes just being a young guy is not enough. He's a virtually unknown. I think we can all agree with that. He was an analyst at Liberty. And before that, the only real experience he had was at smaller schools, and then he was a intern with the Las Vegas Raiders. So nothing really to hang your hat on. And from what I understand, Liberty liked him enough to where they were about to put him on the field as the linebackers coach until Coach Saban hired him away. Now, if I have to kind of find some positive as to why this was done, first and foremost, he coached with Hugh Freeze. He understands the intricacies of a Hugh Freeze offense. So he'll be able to add some support there come time to play Auburn. But the other thing I look at is Liberty was actually one of the better defenses in the country this past season. They were top 5 in terms of sacks per game, tackles for loss, takeaways. And I can see where to Coach Saban, that's very intriguing because not since 2016 have we really had those takeaways, the ball hawking defense or the non-offensive touchdown. So I feel like that's something that Coach Saban was looking at, and it was tugging at his heartstrings because right now I think the pattern shows that, hey, I'm trying to go back to what got us here. So I'm going to get people in who can closely resemble what that looked like. But I'm not trying to slight Robert Bala. Please don't feel, audience, that this show is to slight him or to bash him. But how much babysitting, and yes, I use the term babysitting, will Kevin Steele actually have to do for this hire? Guys, what's your take?
Go ahead, Steven.
I'm gonna say this now. I feel like this. One of the big, I guess, positives for getting Robert Bala, he is from California. He's from Oceanside, California.
Yeah.
And Alabama lost its ace West Coast recruiter with Steve Sarkisian in that. So at least you get a guy back that can recruit the state of California. I understand that aspect of recruiting is the lifeblood of college football. And like you mentioned, Justin, this is not a badge to Bala at all. It's just, when you say Alabama, that's the mecca of college football. Alabama holds weight. It's the needle. And when you talk about the needle, Alabama's like NASA.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to NASA, you just don't get any astronaut at NASA. You get proven guys to get on that plane, that space shuttle at NASA. Like, you just don't get any old guy to play in these movies. You get the Denzel Washingtons, the Steven Seagals.
I like that.
Guys that you know what you're going to get. Box office genius. And it's the same thing at Alabama. You get names that know. And I know people are going to say, well, Stephen, Kirby Smart started off young. Jeremy Pruitt started off young. Other guys started off young. I get that. But at least a lot of the young guys that Bama had got in the past, they had some big game experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Even Austin Armstrong. Think about it, even Austin Armstrong. Southern Miss is a solid program.
Yeah.
Louisiana Lafayette, solid program. The guy spent a year at Georgia. So at least Austin Armstrong had some big experience under his belt, as opposed to Robert Bala. It's next to nothing. And go back to Pete Golding. Pete Golding came from very small, next to nothing. And, I was told Robert Bala blew it away in the interviews. Pete Golding blew it away in the interviews. Blew it away. You listen to Pete Golding talk, he's like a professor of defense. But when you talk about coaching on the field and developing and pulling it out of the guys, it didn't quite do that. So here we go again. Robert Bala blows it away in the interviews, but does this equate to pulling the dogness out of these players? Does it equate to that?
I was going to follow up, Stephen, with exactly the opposite of what you're saying. And, not necessarily the opposite, but to further push into that point, Saban, I don't think Saban promoted Golden because of his philosophy. Golden was already in Saban's system, so it was kind of like a thing where he's good enough right now. You look at what Liberty produced last year defensively against, I mean, some nice opponents, man. And I'm gonna pull up the schedule here. You talk about Southern Miss, where Austin Armstrong just came from. Not a high scoring game, but a really defensive fought game that really the team with the ball last had to win the game, had to go down and win at the end of the game. You look, they beat Wake. They lost to Wake Forest by 1 point. You know, at the end of a game, Wake Forest was in contention for ACC their division in the ACC this past season. They handled most of their conference. Everybody in their conference they handled. I mean, it's like they beat Arkansas last minute. Everybody, y'all remember trolling Arkansas this past season. I mean, this guy came from a program where they were building something special, and like you guys said, Saban is big on interviews and being able to handle yourself well, face to face. But I am hoping that with this philosophy that this guy brings, as far as how he can get guys to react to him as a coach and get them to transfer that on the field, I hope that he has a great balance of that and also brings energy, being that you're not the defensive coordinator. I think Pete Golden was a decent I think Pete Golden was a better linebacker coach than he was a defensive coordinator. I could say that. I think you saw, because you got to remember the first year is Pete Golden as a defense coordinator. He had two freshmen, one who had never played linebacker,
That's true.
at the collegiate level, let alone played it full time at the high school level. And then you had a freshman who was having weight problems. What's my guy name? It wasn't Moody. Shane Lee, yeah. Shane Lee was he was a little chubby, on the chubby side. He didn't have the speed. Hips was tight. He came in jacked. He was jacked, but he wasn't ready to be at the college level. And Pete Golden had to come as a defensive coordinator and kind of hold that together that year. And he after year 3, he showed us who he was. He never was able to rebound. No matter what talent we put in that room for him, he was never able to rebound. So you get a guy like this who comes in with less responsibility. He has an opportunity to focus on his group. And he's under an experienced coach in Kevin Steele. You got guys like Jeremy Pruitt, who's going to be on staff around him. You surround him with guys like T-Rob, who's going to be at the second level coaching, behind him at the third level at the top of the defense. Like he has enough security around him to allow him to develop. How quickly that will happen depends on what we see on the field and what we get out of those guys in that inside linebacker room, which is a big thing for us this year. And like Justin was saying earlier, it's some guys in that room right now with this hire that need to take advantage of this opportunity with having a new coach on the inside, because that can make a difference on how this coach's development and everything his hire was pending upon.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I do like about him is he's versatile. He has experience coaching the inside linebackers and safeties, whereas Pete Golding only really had true experience coaching the secondary. So Robert Bala is able to do a little bit more. And the good thing is, he, like you said, I guess the saving grace is having the veterans, T-Rob, having Kevin Steele around him, and eventually Jeremy Pruitt will definitely help him out in the long run. A young guy, a impressionable guy, a guy who can feed off the knowledge that's around him. So it can't get any better than what's surrounding him. So, as we talk about the inside linebackers, let's go ahead and transition to one that's very famous, and he hadn't really seen the field a whole lot. And I'm referring to Kendrick Blackshire, gentlemen. When he first committed to Alabama, the dude, we saw him, we saw the video, we saw the pictures, looked like a 30-year-old man already, right. A physical specimen. He's one of those first guy off the bus type of players. And for those in the audience who don't know what I mean, anytime, back in high school when you're pulling up to play somebody,
yes,
and the bus drives up, you won't put the biggest, nastiest, swollest guy off the bus first to start that intimidation. This is the guy right here, physically imposing, that resembles the prototypical old school Alabama linebacker has that dog already built into him. It's within that matrix that makes up his mind. Question is he quick enough? Will that size translate today's game? Coach, we talked about it before. He plays a little tight at times. Those hips need a little bit of oil, let that rust kind of get off. However, upside, he's actually working towards that right now. He's dropped from 245 to 233. And one of the things that has come with maturity is he's able to diagnose plays well. He can find the ball. He's that cerebral assassin, and that's one of the things that Marvin Constant has talked about, that the inside linebackers had to be the smartest guys on the field, and matched with his physicality, this makes him a pretty solid weapon. And before going any further, I want to get you guys to kind of touch on that. Is it time for Kendrick Blackshire to emerge, and just how much time does he have? Because I'll be honest, guys, we got Jihad Campbell, we got Sean Murphy, and possibly Tresman Marshall nipping at his heels. That window of opportunity, I feel like, is a lot closer to closing than what most people are willing to think. But go ahead.
Yeah, and like you were saying, man, Blackshire, great. Like when you talk about what's on paper, the physical aspects, the athleticism is there. I think what's holding him back is the mental, is getting in that playbook, because y'all know I give Uncle Marvin a hard time on a lot of stuff he say, but when it comes to that defensive side and what them linebackers got to do, if Uncle Marvin saying it's got to be done, hey, it's got to be done. And I think Blackshire has been forced into a role, and he has bought into this system and this plan that's been set out for him. He's been privy to be able to play behind guys and stay within a system. I don't think Kevin Steele is coming in and changing the system. I think he's coming in and changing this play style, the aggressive nature of play call, the type of aggressiveness that we're calling the play style with, which imposes when you call a certain set of plays. And I can speak for the offense. So I can say it for the defense side, but never calling defensive plays, never calling plays for a defense. I can't speak on it, but as an offensive co-offensive coordinator, calling plays that I know my offense loves to run, they get to the line in a different way. The offensive linemen, they get down in their stances a certain way. The quarterback gives a certain look to the receivers. The running backs getting a certain stance. When it's a play that your team loves to run and that they're comfortable with. We didn't see that a lot with Alabama on either side of the ball last year. And I think on the defensive side, Kevin Steele is going to get that. And you got guys like Kendrick Blackshire who can play off of the mic. He can play the weak side, the weak linebacker, and be the guy that's supposed to fill run gaps and let Lawson, who's already proven to be smart, then reaction timing and is there, his physicality is there, his willingness to take on a block is there, to seal the edge when he has to, when he's his pursuit angles are there. Like you give a guy that type of guy like Blackshire who just want to blow something up and then chase it down, and give a guy open space like Lawson, you might solve your problems there. Or you need, even talking about Murphy, man. I think Sean Murphy is being overlooked.
He is.
He came in highly touted, but that guy is, to me, is like that linebacker that you seen on the football field in December playing for the state championship, and then 2 weeks later he's playing at the game. That goes the New Year's or the Christmas tournament. He's in that game and he's like jumping and dunking on everybody. That's what Sean Murphy is. And I don't think people realize it, because the guy he could have played tight end. Like, I don't think people realize that we might have a more athletic Cam Latu sitting in that middle linebacker room. And Murphy is physical too, and even Campbell's physical. And then the transfer JUCO guy, I'm not putting too much stock in that, Justin. And we spoke about this before the show. I'm just not sold on JUCO guys coming in and being able to perform on the stage, the big stage of Alabama. You don't see many guys. You don't even see Georgia throwing JUCO transfers out there. Their transfers have been D1 transfers. Clemson was the last big transfer they had. Who was the wide receiver they just had out there this past season? I don't even think he played a lot. But I mean, you don't see. I think Alabama's getting back to the old school ways, man, and making people earn it. And Kendrick Blackshire, his work ethic and having a new set of eyes in that room, I think this is his opportunity. And if he doesn't take advantage of it this year, this spring, at least getting into that top 3 rotation going into the fall, we might be seeing him fall further back down the depth chart, because with young guys, they could get in when coaches put those young guys in, they expect them to make mistakes. You're allowed to make 2 or 3 mistakes as a young guy on the big stage, but a guy like Blackshire, you can't get in making mistakes, and if he's going to let that overwhelm him, he'll fall behind. But I think Blackshire has the get to keep working, because the effort he gives on special teams and all that is just you can't have a talent like that sit on the sideline for long. We don't want another Ben Davis situation.
And it's funny you say that. James Knox, it addresses that very thing right there. Has Blackshire reached the Ben Davis point of no return? I don't believe he has at this point, but I feel like it's en route if he does not take advantage of this opportunity. And I agree, Coach Smook. I don't feel like Justin Jefferson is ready for that transition from JUCO yet. As we talked about before the show, he's greatly undersized. He's only 220. Needs to put on some bulk to play that position. So I'm not really considering him a factor right now. But looking at Kendrick Blackshire, he's a guy who can sell out. He goes hard all day, each play, whether it's playing linebacker or, like you said, special teams. Seeing some of his hits reminds me of Mac Wilson and some of the hits he provided. Reuben Foster. He's got that kind of mentality, has that dog mentality. He's not scared to fight off blocks, and he's going to impose his will against blockers, which is a drastic difference from what we saw from Henry To'oTo'o this past season.
Right.
And he comes in at the right time, new set of eyes, like you said, but you can call it an old set of eyes because Kevin Steele's here. You couldn't ask for a more perfect marriage other than a Jeremy Pruitt, because he is the prototypical Kevin Steele, Jeremy Pruitt linebacker, and they know what to do with guys like Kendrick Blackshire. And folks, I do want to remind you of this point. Reggie Ragland and Reuben Foster are both late bloomers. This is a situation where he could be a late bloomer, and if he does bloom, and it's going to turn into a big field of awesome and pain. His biggest adversary here, and you touched on it lightly, I don't know if you realize this or not, is health, staying healthy. One of the biggest knocks against him that's plagued him ever since high school, even before high school, was injury.
Yep.
Can he stay healthy? Because if he gets behind the 8 ball now, as we said, we got guys in that linebacker room that are ready, and they're not going to wait. And it's going to be get to the back of the building. If you got a guy like Jihad Campbell who is sold out, he's already making noise, already talking things up. And Sean Murphy, like you said, another guy that
you, man,
he's ready.
I think, Justin, I don't mean to cut you off, but people really got to see what we have at Bama. Sean Murphy, the only reason he's not getting a lot of hype is because of To'oTo'o and that whole rotation. But I mean, Sean Murphy, honestly, if Sean Murphy came in with Lawson, I'm saying it. If Sean Murphy came in with Lawson, we might not have seen To'oTo'o and Moody. Moody probably would have been an odd man out.
Yeah.
But if Murphy came in with Lawson, that's 2 guys. I would have loved to seen To'oTo'o have a high ankle sprain and be out for 3 weeks. That would, because he would have never saw the field again. It wouldn't have, there would be no reason. Just like when Ricks got on the field, he didn't come back off the field until he got hurt. He had the concussion. That's when Arnold got back on the field. Nobody came back on the field for Ricks. When you got talent like Murphy, you don't let that sit for 2 seasons. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're missing. I don't care. You learn that in game speed, because everything don't go like it do in practice. Anyways, Coach Saban was big for throwing guys out there play football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's get back to that.
And at this point, the modern day of football, you can't really afford to sit somebody for 2 seasons because transfer portal. These guys aren't going to sit around and wait for their time in the sun. They're going to go try to find that time in the sun in a different location. NIL speaks loudly. Dollars is what it comes down to. Yeah, you got some guys who are in it for the love of the game and who buy into the program, but they're kind of the unicorn now. And, Sean Murphy is a guy, like you said, Coach. He can't wait around. And I'd hate to see Kendrick Blackshire leave and then go cause or raise hell somewhere else.
Is Murphy a West Coast kid? Sean Murphy is a West Coast kid, right?
I believe so.
And just think about Sean Murphy at USC last year. He would have been playing as a freshman at USC or Oregon. Like he would have been playing. So, and then you got to think we got Quay Russaw.
Yeah,
we got Quay Russaw coming in this year. And my thing is with this Justin Jefferson kid, you JUCO, right? Signed with D1 Alabama. Why aren't you enrolled? Why aren't you already enrolled? Why aren't you early enrolled? That's a red flag for me right there. Every JUCO transfer we have has been available in the spring. Kyrie Jackson, that's why everybody was so hype on Kyrie Jackson, because he came in the spring. Soon as the national championship was over, the year he was coming in, I think Kyrie Jackson was actually at the national championship practice the year he signed with Bama. So you got to think, man, it's a lot of talent on paper, but we won't really know. And I feel like we got the perfect, like you said, the perfect defensive coordinator, and Kevin Steele being at the head. He knows, if anybody doesn't know on that staff right now what's expected on the defensive side, it is Kevin Steele. To have coached against Saban as many years as he did, and to put us in the heartbreaks that Kevin Steele was able to guide their defense to create against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those games were turnovers, unforced errors, stuff that they were able to capitalize on the defense. The way he kept the defensive front at Auburn, man, I'm telling you, that's really what I'm excited about, Justin. Like the fact that we got a defensive coordinator that knows how to disguise his fronts. The back end is able to stay simplified and keep it simple because of how he dresses everything up front and the way he calls those mixed coverages, those mixed pressures. It's gonna be we're gonna be Bama again. I'm telling y'all. Under Kevin Steele, you could have, if you averaged every staff member under every position coach under Kevin Steele and you average their ratings out to like an 85, all of them averaged out to the 85 at Bama under Coach Saban, I like my chances because he did worse at Auburn. Auburn never sustained talent for multiple years, but their defense stayed a consistent.
Oh yeah,
they stayed consistently in rankings, high in rankings under Kevin Steele. I'm excited. Bring on Bala. Bring him on. Let's let him be guided for a year and a half, 2 years. Let's see what he does. Let's see what type of production we get these first 6 weeks, and then start talking about it.
I'm with you right there. And I have to admit something. I was wrong. I'm directionally challenged. Sean Murphy is actually from Virginia. So,
oh, he from up here where I'm at.
Hey man, there you go. You need to talk to him. Get him on the show. We need to get the inside interaction going.
I have seen some talent up here in these 707 leagues, though, man, and I see why Coach Saban has been sneaking this recruiting trail up here, and why Mike Loxley came up to Maryland. It's a lot of talent up here. I think football is so far spread now. You have a majority of your stuff coming out of Texas, California, Florida, Georgia, Alabama. What I say? California. I say California, right? Mm-hmm. Arizona. That's where your big numbers are coming from, but quality is starting to come out of a lot of these other smaller states that weren't known for football. That were more known for basketball and baseball. But these states, you got some dogs up here, and yeah, Murphy is one of them. He's one of the ones that brought my attention to this area. So
you say dog, well, this kind of plays into Zach Goggins' question. Who could possibly be the alpha dog on defense this season? To be honest with you, Zach, I don't think you can just have one. You kind of got to go by position Of course, Deontay Lawson is going to be the immediate go-to at linebacker. I think up front, and this is a guy we'll get here to in just a minute, Jaheim Otis is going to be another alpha dog. As far as a surprise, I'm really thinking that Jeremiah Alexander is going to make his way onto the field this year and do something really special. And we won't see much drop off in terms of production since Will Anderson's left. I think he's going to be a perfect complement to Chris Braswell and Dallas Turner. Care to weigh in, Coach?
And to continue talking about dogs, man, I think some of our best team had, like you said, multiple dogs. It wasn't necessarily about a position. It was just about most of the first group was just people that were like vicious. I remember the lineup: Javier Arenas, Woodall. Was Woodall back there with him?
Yeah,
Lester,
Justin Woodall.
I mean, those lineups was so crazy. You talking about the secondary that was just like everybody back there was physical. And then so you saw that for like 5 years straight, like through Tony Brown and Eddie Jackson and Milner. I mean, through all those years, you think about all these DBs that are in the league now, those guys are physical. They're still imposing in the league. You don't see many finesse DBs from Bama. So like this new finesse age of DB trying to have pretty footwork and all that stuff and not wanting to wrap up. Like I love how physical Kool-Aid began to be at the end of last season.
That's an alpha dog next year.
I mean, you talk about Kool-Aid being an alpha dog. I think you got a guy like Caleb Downs that's going to come in as a freshman and be an alpha dog. His mentality, everybody, we talk about Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore was an alpha dog before he got injured. He didn't have to talk. He did it with his gameplay. Brian Branch was an alpha dog. I think Caleb Downs is the next one. You got Malachi Moore coming back. Mm-hmm. I feel like healthy. He's a dog. So you got 3 DBs that are possibly 3 potential starters. You got Downs who's going to be a starter at the safety. You got Kool-Aid who's going to be at one corner. You got Malachi Moore who's going to be your star guy. You know, that's 3 key spots in that secondary where you want people who know what they're doing, who are ready to hit, who are not scared to hit, who are going to attack the ball. That's in your secondary. Then you get into the middle, like you said, Deontay Lawson. But you got a guy like Blackshire. He don't have to start to be a dog. You don't have to start, but you got somebody that's going to be physical every time he get in the game. We expecting a big hit. We might get have to stop the game because he might get a targeting call because he's trying to wreck something. I'm rocking with that. That's an alpha dog. That's momentum.
We need that back.
We need that. You know how many? If targeting was such a focus back when Reuben Foster was at Bama, Reuben Foster probably wouldn't have made it to the league because he wouldn't have been playing enough games. All his hits were made with the top of his helmet. Come on, man.
He'd be in the eternal penalty box.
It took Reuben Foster 2 years, man. 2 full years before they took that cowboy collar off him because he refused to hit with his head up. And so you got guys like that. So you think about that. You got Lawson. You got Blackshire that can be an alpha dog. I still think Murphy is going to be a one of those smart leaders in the room, not necessarily vicious or anything, but somebody that you can rely on. But you talking about Jaheim Otis, man. I think he is going to be the catalyst for the defense this year. Outside of all the flashiness and everything, him being able to wreck ship in the middle and Latham, I feel like they're going to finally move Latham inside behind Otis with Burrows, all the 3 of them in the rotation. And then we got a Boygby coming back.
Let me tell you where it starts, and we're going to definitely focus on this defensive line. A big thing that came out today was from Jaheim Otis, and he showed being an alpha dog, what it means to be an alpha dog, but in a different way. And that was being the best version of himself. And what do I mean? If anybody missed his tweet, he started his journey in Alabama weighing 417 pounds. Today, he is down to 316 pounds. He lost over 100 pounds, guys. That's a person, just about. That is alpha dog, dedicated to become the best version of himself he can be. And last year, like you said, and I'm just repeating, but the thing is, you can't help but repeat. Wreck shop. I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew and was just about, unblockable. And any kind of success offenses had against us wasn't because he let anybody go. It was because the people beside him weren't exactly playing to his same level of intensity. And I think also Justin Eboigbe being out definitely made things a little bit worse than what they should have been. But now Justin Eboigbe's healthy. He's back. And before his injury this past season, he was really showing us something. I feel like that he was really drawing that line in the sand, and he was daring offenses to cross it. He finally had his heart in the game, which was something that was questioned the first 3 years he was here. But now he seems to have that give a damn turned on. And I think that front seven is going to be built on Justin Eboigbe and Jaheim Otis. Now, the other guys, like you said, we've got some dudes up there. I feel like Jamil Burrows. I feel like right now is when he's ready to erupt. Is this the year that Tim Smith finally just does unthinkable things to offenses? We felt it. We've got glimpses, a little bit more each year. We just haven't gotten that full taste. Coach, talk to me about that defensive line.
Justin, I think we're coming into a phase of Bama where you got a room. You talk about a 3-man front that's probably 3 deep in each position, right? And everybody wants to be on the field, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't come out of training camp with a lot of nicks from the D-line, I'm worried. Every year that our D-line has went off, it's always been questioned. We have some questionable. We have last year's top defensive lineman coming in with this elbow, and every year that we started off like that, top 2 defense, top 3 defense. Every year, because guys are being physical. In they're setting the tone in spring, and when you got a guy that can lose 110 pounds in his first year on campus, usually what they call it, the freshman 15. When I was in, I think it was a freshman 15 when I was in college.
Something like that.
I know,
yeah.
When I was in college, I showed up to college. I was 6'2", 155, man. 150. No, I was 162. I'm not gonna cheat myself. I was 162. They had me listed at 160 on the roster. When we kicked off for our first game of the season, August 24th, 2008. August 24th, 2008. I was 172 pounds. And I mean, because I was eating my 5 meals a day. I was doing my whey protein shake. Because back then we didn't have all the science and stuff. We went with the old school stuff, like the whey protein that didn't really break down in your milk. We didn't use almond milk. We used whole milk because, whole milk got fat in it for the skinny dudes. We didn't have. But we were dedicated, and you get guys that go and they put all their selfish desires aside, and they put the program forward. Not just the program, but not what it means to them, but because it means more to somebody else. It means. I think Jaheim Otis was the one that made the tweet about how grateful he was because Alabama never switched up on him from the time he was in the 8th grade before anybody saw him. Alabama saw him, and they never switched up on him. So you think about that type of relationship. He's dedicated, and the guy that's been dedicated that long from a adolescent stage to now transferring into a young man, into becoming an adult stage, and can share that type of energy amongst his fellow teammates and brothers. That's good to have that type of leadership. And you get another Will Anderson situation where you got a young leader going into his second year with the physical ability. Now he's able to do it with the mentality, the leadership part. And it speaks volumes. And you got guys that surrounding him that's already, seniors and juniors. You talk about 2 seniors to the left and right of him, and the boy being Tim Smith projected to start at the 2 ends. That's solid. And you got another redshirt junior, basically a senior in Jamil Burrows coming in that rotation. Latham, another junior, redshirt junior coming in that rotation. So you got senior leadership around a young guy who's hungry. When you got a young guy who's hungry, he's showing other young guys, hey, you can do it. All you gotta do is be just as hungry as I was. This is how I did it, bro. They tell you get in the weight room at 3:00 in the morning, get up and go to the weight room. It only hurt for a little while. And guess what? All they doing is giving you points for being, because now all you really got to do is do this part so you can get on the field and do what you really love to do. And when kids can break it down, when you get kids that can break that down and keep it like that in their mind, you got dangerous kids on the field. And you think about it, you got a Jordan Renard coming in, you got a James Smith from Montgomery coming in, you got Tim Keenan, who's already had to sit behind these other guys I mentioned. He's still sitting there as a redshirt sophomore, basically a junior in the class. When you've been there for 3 years now, you're going into your third year now. You know, I mean, where else do we go? You got Yanzi Pierre, another freshman coming in. You got what's my boy Perry?
Yeah. I mean,
Perry. You got him, and he was getting on the field at the end of last season. He was seeing,
he had valuable minutes.
meaningful snaps. So we have a deep defensive line room, and when you got older guys, well, I'm talking about Boygby, Tim Smith, Jamil Burrows, who came on solid, and Latham. Those 4 guys, they're not trying to get passed up by these younger guys who are coming in hungry. So that's going to push them to keep up with Otis, who's the younger guy to them. And you got younger guys who say, okay, Otis did, I can do it too. Whenever you got guys like that, if you have an injury, if you have to substitute, or if you decide to substitute that deep and just keep guys out there when they're fresh so they could put the best film out, that's quality. That's why Georgia has been so dominant the past 3 years. They've been able to go 8, 9 deep, keep guys out there, and you never see a weak play from the defensive line because guess what? You don't see Jordan Davis out there for 3 plays in a row. He get 2 plays, he come out, and then the next guy come in, and you see the same productivity because everybody's working and being pushed the same and getting afforded the same opportunities.
Yeah, and you got a guy like Jaheim Otis, man. He's gotten to where he is sleek, slender, 315 pounds. He's going to fight you if you try to take him off the field. And the thing is, I know he might be young on the roster, but he's already got that veteran, that silverback mindset about what it takes to be successful, and he's going to make Curtis Perry better. And I can't think of just how much James Smith is going to benefit from playing beside him. And I feel like his progression is going to be accelerated, and we're going to see James Smith in that rotation early.
Oh yeah, James Smith, Curtis Perry, and this is things that we hate to talk about as fans, but as much as I loved Justin Boygby last year, that injury is going to be a mental block he's going to have to overcome.
It takes a minute.
We probably won't see Justin Boygby that was so hot last year. We probably won't see him till week 7, week 8. And by that time, we're 3 games into league play. One of those young guys is going to pop off. Somebody's going to get seen. If we get back to the old school way, hey, you got a game to shake the rust off. But week 2 against Texas, you can't be getting beat. We need you to dominate.
And I feel like if Pete Goldwyn was still there, then you probably would have a problem overcoming that mental block as far as Justin Boygby is concerned. But you got Kevin Steele there. Right. You got the wiry old veteran, the Clint Eastwood Gran Torino coach out there. I feel like that, yes, it does take some time to overcome that mental block from an athlete when you're coming back from an injury. It's getting that confidence back. I think, though, with Kevin Steele, that's going to be squashed early on. You know, it may even come, in spring. I feel like Justin Boygby is going to pop off, and he's going to have that first-round top 10 draft pick kind of season.
Hey, and that's the hope, man. I just know with nerve injuries, you talking about a neck injury, man, and the defensive lineman who's in the trenches, he's always that's just natural for them. Face mask to face mask. A lot of just clashing and stuff. I just hope that's just not a mental block for him, man, because the boy, I remember watching Justin Boygby on my college teammates who was his high school position coach. His name Ivan Cobb. And I remember watching Justin Boygby on his Snapchat when Boygby was in the 10th grade. And I said, man, that boy, he light on his feet to be a big boy. Mm-hmm. And Ivan was like, my boy was like, yeah, man, he played basketball too. You know what I'm saying? He was running track up until this year. He was running 200, the 200. So up until his sophomore year, Boygby, so the athletic skills, the athleticism has always been there. It's just with an injury like that, man, those are life-changing injuries. I know when I tore my ACL the first time, coming back from it, I didn't think nothing of it. I was young, bounced back from it. I was just did with everything they told me because I had never had an injury of that magnitude. And the more I learned about it, I learned how serious it was. It made me focus. So you got a guy like a Boydby who sees his value. And you got to think a Boydby was still getting high draft grades, day 2 grades after missing 8 games.
Yeah,
He only
he
played 4
was.
games in the season, 4 games this year.
Let's see. He didn't play in the Arkansas game. That's where he began to sit.
Okay, so I think that was game 5 or 6. I can't remember. But you got a guy that's still getting a second round and a deep defensive line, a defensive position class, still getting high day 2 grades. That to me, that's nothing but upside for a Boydby. And with this type of room around him, man, he doesn't have to go out and do too much. Stay out there while you fresh. Let young guys come in and continue to build that longevity and that depth. Look at the bigger picture. I think that's a big thing. You get the trenches to buy into the bigger picture on the defensive side. Guys that want to rotate, that want to, hey, I want 3. Give me 3 hard plays, and you give me the first 2 hard plays. Wait until I get 2 pass plays back to back to tap me out. Let's work something out. You get what I'm saying? Like, let's work something out so we can be on film, bro. And let's do what's best for the team and stay fresh because I want to dominate when it comes to league play. I don't want to see no more 29-24s or 29-27s or 22-21s when we've had 11 possessions in the offensive possessions in the game. I don't want to give up 52 points anymore. Like that's not Bama. That's not what we've come to know as Bama. And so let's get back to it. And it starts in the trenches.
It does. And hey, that defense is going to be a lot better off because they're going to have an offense that likes to burn clock and give them time to heal, repair, and kind of playing around what's ahead of them. But defensive side of the ball, I feel like is going to be our strongest side of the ball until we get things figured out in terms of quarterback. But we will definitely touch on that as the weeks come. But
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It looks as though we have run out of time. We've had a lot of fun. Before we head out of here, first of all, hit that like button, folks. If you're here, we got over 103 in the live chat. I expect 103 likes, and I also want some subscriptions because we are very close to hitting 4,000. And you are responsible for that, folks. Show us that you think we're the best channel out there by helping us get that 4,000 mark. But anyway, before we close on out, Coach Smook, as always, I turn it over to you to pop what you got. And folks, we're a family of networks. So after we finish up here, I want you to head over to everything he's got. I want you to subscribe, follow, whatever it takes. And in the comment section on whatever he has, say that the Bama Standard sent you. Go ahead, Coach.
Hey, I appreciate that, Justin, again, allowing me to be this co-host to this awesome show, man.
He finally said co-host.
Look, see, and I did it because I knew you was going to pick.
Always.
But yeah, man, I really do appreciate the opportunity, man. And we've already had people coming from this chat coming into when I'm streaming on YouTube, my gaming, and we talk football in the middle of the game, man. Everybody, if you want to get me distracted from Call of Duty, come in and let's talk about Alabama football. I definitely enjoy it. I'm actually taking requests. I'm trying to finish up this reaction video to the Texas game, man. Just highlighting certain plays. So be on the lookout for all the content, guys. You can find me here on YouTube at Coach Smook. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, also Twitter and Instagram at Coach Smook. If you type Coach Smook on any of those, you'll find me on Facebook. Type in at Coach Smook Gaming if you're into gaming. I do Warzone. I'm actually about to start NCAA content here in I think August. I should have my revamped PS3, so all updated roster. So y'all will get. I basically what I plan to do is just play out our college football season, kind of create a visual of what we should expect and how things should look with the roster that we have. So y'all be looking out for that, man. I think it's going to be very entertaining. It's going to be dialogue and it'll be live, and there'll be little shorts and stuff to tune into. So check me out, man. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to seeing y'all around there. And once again, shout out to the Bama Standard, man. I'm telling y'all, ever since I've been locked in with this show, like I be so much more in tune with Bama football and just athletics in general. Bama University, being connected I've been able to be on the screen with some of the people I've watched play in some of the biggest games. And I'm talking about throughout my lifetime, being able to talk to, Uncle Marvin because of Justin and this show, man, is a big thing to me. Being able to link up with a guy like Stephen M. Smith, man, a guy that just knows Bama football in and out. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm grateful. I'm very humbled by it. And most of all, you guys that come in the chat and just type and like and share and send your donations, all that stuff, y'all really make this show what it is. So I really appreciate y'all. And once again, roll tide, y'all. We really coming back this season. In Saban, we trust.
Love that, man. That's the way to close your segment there.
Yeah.
But yeah, special thanks to Stephen M. Smith, who came on earlier, was able to give us his thoughts and ideas. Unfortunately, he was hit by a falling price there in Walmart, so he had to be taken to the buggy claim and get seen after by the emergency staff that was on site. But no, we thank him. Stay tuned to the Bama Standard. We got a pretty big week this week coming up. Again, tune in Tuesday night, the Bama Standard on Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, Tuesday night. You want to tune in for this one because we have one of the all-time greats at running back who will be on with us, and that is the legendary Mr. Bobby Humphrey. He will be in the building. Y'all definitely need to tune in for that. He's got some great stories. I believe he has a couple of stories of where he ran over Cornelius Bennett in practice. Definitely need to hear about that. And then as soon as you're done with us on TDA, come back over here to our channel, 8 p.m. Central, The Final Whistle with Matt Caddell, Chris James, Dan James, and they let me talk a little bit too. We're talking all things Bama, Bama hoops, Bama football, most definitely, Bama in the NFL, Bama in the XFL. Shout out to our boy AJ McCarron doing his thing 2 games in a row, leading 2 comeback victories for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central, right here. Bo Scarborough's developmental focus points with him, Blake Sims, Christian Jones, and Trent Richardson. We should have a pretty big guest this week. If you missed last week's episode, please go back and watch because Clinton Dix was with us and gave us some insight as to what's going on in the program right now. But great show. Definitely had a great time. As always, Coach Smooth, you gave us credibility. We appreciate you doing that. Thank you to everybody in the live chat. And if anyone who joined late, please go back and watch the replay. Leave us a little love in the comment section. But that'll do it for us. This show, your favorite Sunday night show, will be back same time next week. Until then, roll tide, everybody, and y'all have a good night.
Roll tide.